clinical and translational investigators throughout the School of Medicine here at Stanford, working on designing studies, analyzing data, data management, et cetera. And as Kim mentioned, I'm also serving as chair of the Statistical Consulting section this year, and I'm excited to be part of this panel.
Great, thank you, Manisha. I'm going to interrupt my own plan for a second to say I had forgotten to record this, so I have hit the record button. We are now recording. Thank you, Manisha, for just introducing yourself. Let's go to Leanna next. And Leanna
Sure.
is our past chair.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Kim. As Kim mentioned, I was the section chair last year, and this year I am serving as the past chair. Currently, I lead a data science team at Bayer Crop Science. My team builds predictive analytic models for our digital agricultural business.
Okay, great.
And historically, I've had statistical roles as well.
Great, thank you, Leanna. I should mention our chair-elect Todd Coffey wasn't able to make it today. I think Chris Barker may join us later. He's our secretary-treasurer. Let's see, Summer, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, great, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Summer Han. I'm assistant professor at Stanford Quantitative Science Unit of Medicine, and I'm a program chair this year. So yeah, if you have any questions about this JSM program organization, I can try to answer.
Great, thank you, Summer. Clark. Clark is our program chair-elect.
Hi, my name is Clark Kogan, and I am an assistant professor at Washington State University. I'm the associate director of the consulting center there. And as Kim mentioned, I'm the program chair-elect for JSM.
Great, thank you, Clark. Joe. Joe is our publications officer.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Rigdon. I'm now an assistant professor at Wake Forest School of Medicine. And my involvement with statistical consulting here is through the BIRD, or the Biostatistics Epidemiology and Research Design Group, where I'm the associate director for consulting. Previously, I worked with Summer and Manisha in the QSU at Stanford. So wonderful to meet you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Aparna is one of our at-large executive committee members. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Aparna Anderson. I work at Statistics Collaborative, which is a consulting firm based in Washington, D.C., and we work with primarily a lot of biotech, pharmaceutical companies, and clinical trials, a lot of engagement with FDA and other health authorities, and we also are involved in a lot of litigation work. So happy to see everyone.
Okay, thank you. Robin, she's another at-large committee member.
Hi, everybody. My name is Robin Ball. I'm a computational scientist at the Jackson Laboratory in Bar Harbor, Maine, where we study the genetic component of disease. Previously, I have done more academic type statistics in the medical arena, and I worked at a startup for a while as well, so I have sort of a varied experience, and I also do consulting in my spare time. So anyway, glad to be here. Glad to meet you all.
Great, thank you, Robin. Jason Macken, who I specifically asked how to pronounce his last name. Go ahead.
Thank you. It doesn't say like it spells. Yeah, my name is Jason. Hi, everybody. My daytime job is directing the Biostat Core for the Lifespan Hospital System. My academic is in Rhode Island. So my academic affiliations are, Associate Professor at Brown in their med school in a couple of departments, and also adjunct at URI, or University of Rhode Island, where I host an externship. Heavily involved in sort of workforce development, work with our Department of Education, and help set minimum standards for our career and tech education stuff, and just generally get around a bunch, trying to help folks and, connect and do fun stuff like this. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I don't think that Rishi was able to make it today. All right, but if Rishi comes on later, we'll let him introduce himself. He's one of our Council of Sections, or COS representatives. Our other COS representative is Dean Johnson. So Dean, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Kim.
Mhm.
Yeah, like Clark, I teach at Washington State University. I'm an associate professor in the math and statistics department. And I've served as the section chair for the JSM chair, I guess, for the consulting section. And recently I've been working on the proposal for the uh, statistics journal, statistical practice journal. So glad to be here today.
Great, thank you. Jana is our webmaster.
Our somewhat errant webmaster. My name is Jenna Asher. I'm an assistant professor at Slippery Rock University. This is a second career for me. Prior to that, I was a statistician that specialized in the collection and analysis of human rights violations data. For 2 years, I was the executive director of a statistical consultation nonprofit, which was a lot of fun. So that's kind of my connection to you guys.
Great, thank you, Jana. Next is Andrea Mack, who I wanted to point out, she's actually not technically part of the executive committee, but she's taken on a leadership role as our webinar planner. That's something that I think the section is hoping to do a little more of, is to have regular section members take some more leadership initiatives. So Andrea, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Sure. My name's Andrea Mack. I'm a statistician at Idaho National Lab, and I recently started doing the webinars. So if you have any ideas for webinar topics or people you'd like to hear from, I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
Great, thank you, Andrea, and thank you, everyone. I guess I should introduce myself too. I am a private consultant. I used to be the associate director of a university consulting center before that at the University of Georgia, and I've been private since 2016. I'm also the communications officer for the section, which is sort of a new-ish role that we have in place of having a newsletter and a newsletter editor. I guess we're still feeling out that role a little bit, but the general idea is that I will take information from outside the section or from the executive committee and communicate that information to the members. So if you have anything that you'd like to see, anything that you'd like the committee to bring to you that you aren't currently seeing, or if there's something you like that we're doing, please let me know about that, and we'll try to make sure that keeps happening. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move into the AMA section or the AMA part of this webinar, and we're going to start actually with a question that was submitted in advance to us by Steve Simon. Some of you may recall that one of the things we're working on this year is a journal of statistical practice, and we have submitted a proposal for that. I say we, I haven't personally had much to do with it, but Dean Johnson is the chair or the co-chair along with Robin for that committee. And so Dean, I'd like to turn it over to you for an update on that.
Okay, great. I have a document to share with everybody. Let me see if I can do that. Can everybody see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks, Kim, for organizing this. Great idea. And also thanks to the committee who worked on this proposal. Been a great committee to work with, and they've everyone's worked really hard on this. And just to give a little bit of history for maybe some of you that aren't familiar with what we've been doing is about a year ago, this committee embarked on creating a journal devoted to statistical consulting and collaboration. And we worked on the proposal. We got feedback from members of the statistical consulting section. We did a survey and got some useful feedback. And in March, Manisha and Joe gave a wonderful presentation to of the committee's proposal for the journal to the ASA editors, and the editors were very supportive of our idea. So the editors recommended that the proposal be discussed by the the JSM board of directors in August. So we're waiting for that to take place, and hopefully they'll make a decision in our favor, and we'll be able to move forward with that. So just want to kind of just give you a little bit of kind of the motivation for this idea. And I like this quote here that I received from Scott Berry, who is I believe the president of Berry Consultancy. And he said there are many wonderful journals on methodology, computation, and software, but perhaps the most important skill for statisticians is the ability to practice statistics. A journal focusing on the practice of statistics would have a huge benefit to the statistical community. So like Scott, the committee feels that having a journal specifically devoted to statistical practice would be of tremendous importance to the statistical community. And we're hoping that this journal comes to fruition. And the themes, just kind of the themes that we propose for the journal, these are kind of different tracks that we have in mind. We have a technical track, which is dedicated to the innovative statistical and computational techniques developed to solve a problem encountered in practice. And they have the communication aspect, communicating statistical results to a lay audience. And then just the kind of the collaboration process in general, this kind of the process that you go through from beginning to end when working with clients, and some of the the challenges that you encounter and how you overcome those challenges. And then a couple other tracks here: contributions made to other fields as a consequence of the collaboration, and then training the next generation of statistical practitioner, including educational innovations for engagement. And we've received a lot of support for this idea. Again, we conducted a survey of members of the Statistical Consulting section, and through that survey, we learned that people were very supportive. And we also received some letters of support from leaders in the field. And here's some of the quotes from those persons. So again, we've been really pleased, really pleased with the excitement that's been generated along the way. And we hope that our proposal is well received by the JSM board of directors. And I asked Eric Sampson, who is I believe his title is, he's kind of the publications officer. And I asked him what would actually, exactly what would take place in regard to our proposal at this board of directors meeting. And he wasn't really sure himself. He said that he wasn't sure, maybe a vote would be taken, or if the board wanted some maybe additional changes, they would send it back to the Council of Publications, or so he wasn't really sure himself. But the committee is hoping that the proposal will be well received by the board of directors. And I'm not sure who exactly is on the JSM board of directors. I tried to find some information on that, but I wasn't able to find anything. So I don't know if anyone has any information there. But so that's kind of where we stand with the journal. Just waiting to hear the ASA's decision on how we should proceed.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dean. And thank you also, Robin, and to everyone else who's been working on that committee to put that together. just a reminder that if you have questions that you brought with you, or if you have comments on anything we're talking about, feel free to write those in the chat window. Or even if you just like to be unmuted to ask a question directly, you can go ahead and type that in the chat window as well. Okay, then another question that we had submitted in advance. And Dean, I don't know if you want to stop sharing your screen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Sorry
you
about
don't have to, but if you'd like to.
Yeah.
A question that Victor submitted in advance was, how can I be a more active participant even though I'm currently more of a programmer than a statistician? And I'm going to assume, Victor, that you meant a more active participant in the section. But if that wasn't right, you know, please feel free to comment or type in the chat window. And I don't know who would like to take a shot at that first. I guess Manisha, as the current chair, if you'd like to maybe give an answer to that, that'd be great. If not, that's fine too.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, I think I've had a number of section members reach out to me that they're interested in various things that we sort of put calls out for, and I think that's a really easy way, because if you just reach out to me or anyone on the exec, there's a number of tasks and initiatives that we're trying to push forward, and we would love to engage section members. So that's an easy way for us to know, like, if you're actually interested in helping us with sort of pushing forward some of our programmatic initiatives. Reaching out to the exec is one way, and then we can sort of get you involved in some of the things that we're working on. And then there's a number of other initiatives that we're pushing forward. I think we put various calls out. Kim, I think you put one out by just saying, trying to get to know who everyone is, and so responding to those calls is really important. I know Joe put a call out on a piece where he was interested in knowing who was involved in various COVID activities, and so I think you got really good response to that. And then, of course, we have a discussion section for the consulting section that is a great way to get involved just in the general community. So I think those are some various ways, and maybe I'll let others talk about ways in which they currently get involved to give other ideas.
Yeah, Manisha, thanks. I'll add on to that. This is Leanna again. I was a past chair, or I'm the past chair this year. Yeah, definitely. I think our discussion board is an excellent way to stay connected in real time with, one, like internal discussions that I know many of you, even on this call, I recognize some of your names that have posted questions to this section, either on technical topics or more kind of fundamental regarding the practice of statistics, or even kind of the ethical practice of statistics as well. So being involved in those discussions or posing your own discussion topics that you want to start generating is a great opportunity. If you don't really know how, or if you're not really comfortable doing that, Kim, in her role as a communications officer, can help with that. I think that's one of the areas that she's kind of passionate about. Another would be the webinars. So I know, I'm sorry, I forgot, it was maybe Andrea, who introduced herself earlier, is always looking for ideas on webinar topics. So if you have a topic you're interested in receiving as a participant, or if you have a topic that you would like to suggest for hosting a webinar, that's another great area as well. Those are two kind of specific things that I can think of right now.
If anyone else has any thoughts, I know Summer, you're in charge of the program at JSM. What can people do at JSM that's related to the section?
Sorry, so what was your question?
I was just to say, what can people do at JSM that can maybe get them involved in the section there? Or
yeah,
like,
I mean, go ahead.
No, I was to say, or just like tell them about the program at JSM that we have, so they can be more familiar with kind of what we're presenting.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I don't have the list kind of here right now with me, but I think they kind of at other sections, we have invited sessions. So that's something you need to kind of put together the proposal early, like right after the previous year, and then there's something that we need to review and then select. And then we also have a topic contributed sessions, which as you may be familiar with. And then there's something like sometimes not everything can be accepted in invited sessions. And in that case, maybe they like to try the next round because topic contributed session, the deadline is a little bit later. And then there are all kinds of sessions where there's paper, they can just present individual papers, or it's a panel discussions. So also kind of, we are always looking for some interesting topics that we'd like to sponsor that involving lots of statistical consulting collaboration. This year we have 3 different interesting topics that we are sponsoring. And then we are also selecting one of the best session among topic contributed sessions, so that how this is relevant to our session, the kind of section, so that we like to give some CASHI awards. So we are encouraging people to always look up for this opportunity. And then in addition to that, we have like a student poster session and award. So yeah, so ranging from the invited session to student posters and then topic contributed session, we have lots of interesting opportunities that we like our members to be involved.
And can I just put in a shameless plug for the business, for our business meeting at JSM this year? So it is going to be virtual, obviously, but I really want to encourage section members to attend. I know that the forum might seem a little odd this year, but we're going to make it work. And I actually think it's going to be, we're going to be quite structured. I think we have to be structured when we do this, because we're not going to be able to be in a room and mingle first before we get started. But I hope that there's going to be some payoff there. So we're going to have some breakout sessions to really engage our members about first, topics like, what was your most challenging consultation project? We'll also talk about what other initiatives you want to take forward for the next year. So if you're remotely interested in the section, or you're part of the section, that would be a great way to participate, meet other members, and get your opinions and voices heard, or just listen to what other people are thinking. So please come this year. I think it's Tuesday. I wish Chris were here so he could say exactly. Oh, Chris is here. Chris, I believe it's Tuesday, 5 o'clock Eastern time during JSM. Am I right?
Hold on here. Oh.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Anyway, it'll be in the program, but please look out for that. I think that'll be a great way for folks to participate.
Yeah, we did schedule it, so that I believe is the time. So we'll send out an announcement before the day.
Yeah, I'll put an additional plug in terms of the value of that business meeting in Mixer last year. Obviously, we had the opportunity for the in-person, and some of you might have been there, but we had a conversation kind of the last half of the business meeting around the journal. So really the input from the members that were at that discussion largely influenced and shaped this proposal. So that was hugely critical in terms of that initiative.
Just a follow-up question. If people aren't registered for JSM this year, will they still be able to attend the business meeting? Does anyone know?
I think you do have to be registered.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I thought maybe since it's online, it might be a little different this year.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of the ASA is going to send out the web links, and they'll probably ask us not to send them along to other people. So unless you can get a hold of a web link, you're probably not going to get in.
Thanks for the clarification.
Great. Okay. And thank you, Summer and Manisha and Leanna. I was going to add something, but maybe not. Just because it is virtual this year, if you haven't attended in the past, the cost is lower and you don't have to travel. So, if you haven't had a chance to attend JSM in the past, maybe this is your year to give it a try. We did get a couple of questions in the chat. So one of them was from Georgette, I believe, and Dean. I think this was asked after you had finished talking, so you probably had not answered it. It was, what type of articles would be in the journal? Are these academic articles or more like a business magazine? Oh, you're muted, Dean.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of articles that describe your kind of your involvement in a statistical collaboration or consultation, kind of maybe the process that you go through, or yeah, it could be from an academic consultation that you have, or it could be in something in private practice, but it'd be more devoted towards kind of maybe describing the process that you go through in the in providing the consulting, or how you go about communicating statistical results to the lay audience, or some of the challenges that you face there, and maybe some of the different techniques you use for communicating results. I'm not sure if that answers and there's some other people from the committee as well that they can feel, Joe or Manisha or Robin.
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in a little bit, because I know there was a sense, and as Leanna pointed out, a lot of this was discussed at that business meeting. We really were able to get a good pulse on what people were feeling like the gap was. And I think our sense is that in our work as sort of like statistical practitioners, there's a lot of value add in exchanging ideas on how we approach problems, the barriers that we face in practice. Like, we're applying methodology, we're in practice, we're engaging collaborators, and that there are, gaps in sort of methodology or in how to do things that we encounter sort of in practice, and that we wanted a forum where we could have an intellectual exchange of ideas there. And so this really is intended, I would say it's more academic. It's not really meant to be a business magazine, but to provide a forum for an intellectual exchange of ideas of the practical problems that we encounter as statistical consultants and collaborators. So that's how I would think of it. That's how I would frame it. I don't know if others on the committee want to chime in.
Yeah, I think that covers most of it. I think it's also a place where, a lot of times when working with others, our work may be featured in a non-statistical journal, and typically the methods, a lot of the methods end up going into supplemental or something like this. And so this would also be an avenue to publish those as a first author. And I think that was another way of trying to get our work out and be recognized for our collaborative work with others.
I think that's a great point, Robin. Like, I think too, in the methods section, often, there'll be like a couple of lines devoted to what I think are like the scientific meat, like all these scientific decisions that get made, and it gets boiled down to one or two or a paragraph. And it's like, how can we expect there not to be a replication or reproducibility crisis when it's almost impossible to explain in detail these really critical decision points that we make? And so having a journal that's dedicated to these like really important details, we thought was really would be really important.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone for your answers on that. If there's other questions, oh, Jason, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't been involved in the journal's formation here, but as you guys are talking about, it seems like it's almost like the question implies separation where there need not be. It's sort of like these are ubiquitous concepts in consulting and just collaboratively working with people, whether you're talking about translational research or physics or any of it. If we're practicing well, we are fitting our context, and all these issues will apply, whether it's business or academic. So
yeah,
awesome. Can't wait to see it.
Thanks. Anyone else want to contribute before we move on to another question? And of course, if you have follow-ups on the journal, please feel free to type them into the chat. There's another question that's come up in the chat that basically Clark and Isabella are asking about, which is related to mentorship. I know we've done some informal mentorship or made some informal mentorship connections over the past few years. So I'd like to ask, I guess, Leanna and Manisha to talk about that. But also, I think I'll read Isabella's question. I'm interested in how the section can facilitate mentorship opportunities for those of us interested in functioning as mentors. And I know one connection I helped to make was certainly started on the behalf of someone who was looking for a mentor. So I'm imagining that's where most of what we've kind of done individually has happened, is someone is looking for someone to mentor them. So I think there may be room for more formal opportunities for mentors. So I don't know, Leanna or Manisha, does either of you want to start?
I'll let Manisha take that one first.
Oh, sure. So I don't think that so we don't have a formal mentorship program that's part of the section. I know the larger ASA does have one. And so I think you're right, Kim. We've just been doing these sort of informal help, bridging of people who are looking for mentors. I really like the idea of maybe collecting information on those who want to be mentors. And, we've been getting this question a lot, and it's making me think that maybe we need to think about if we can complement or if we should be complementing what ASA is already offering with their mentorship program. And I need to give that a little bit more thought. Leanna, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, maybe what I'm thinking from how could we implement such a program? Because to your point, I did hear that come up a fair amount last year, and we're hearing it again this year. And I think as a committee, we've had to just prioritize the different initiatives, but maybe there's an opportunity if there's a few individuals, Isabella or others, that what Manisha, for you to think about is to form a committee. This is kind of how some of the other committees that I started last year was members just showing interest. And so we formed a committee and then kind of let them start this thing. And so that might be something, if there's a few people that might be interested in taking that on. But it depends on, if we want it to look more like a formal where people are paired together or whatnot.
Do you know any more about what the ASA does at large and how their program works, Leanna?
I don't. I know at JSM in the past they had, one year at least, they had a mentoring matching system. I don't know if anybody is aware of what ASA is currently doing. It could be valuable to tag on to that. In some ways, it's pretty big in scope. Maybe it's easier for us to do something smaller.
Yeah, I know the Conference on Statistical Practice has a mentoring program which is great because then you can meet your mentor in person at the conference, but I know everybody doesn't necessarily attend that conference.
Right.
So I'm sure it would be useful if we could do something.
It's a really good point. I mean, we have a really active community, which is awesome. And so it seems like there could be a lot of value. I see somebody is already thinking about the committee idea, so.
Yep, and I am reading everybody's chat comments, so we'll make sure to get in touch with people who ask us to get in touch with them. I think also, just if you are hearing anything today and you're not interested in, commenting today during the chat, but if you'd like to get in touch with us, I think you can reach all of us through the web page. I think if you go to our microsite, you can go to About Us and you can see who the officers are. But if you aren't sure you'll remember that, I'm going to go ahead and just put my email in the chat. If anyone else wants to put their email in the chat from the committee, I'd say that would be good. But if you contact me, I can always make sure that you get in touch with the right person on the executive committee. So always feel free to email me and I will help facilitate that communication, as is my job. So please, feel free to do that as well if you are feeling like maybe joining in the conversation later on. Okay. Are there any other comments? I mentioned earlier that if anyone would like to be unmuted to join in the discussion, I think I have to do that for you, but just let me know. Any other comments from anyone on the mentoring issue before we move on? Okay, yeah, Jason, go ahead. Jason, you can just start talking.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, don't wait on us. Reach out to people. I'm a big believer in mentoring, and I'm a big believer in taking the initiative to go find them. It's not like you're ever going to insult somebody by asking them to mentor you. So if the worst you get is a no, thank you, I can't right now, you've made somebody's day for asking them something nice, and then you might get something that's a lifelong friendship. So yeah. Don't wait on us.
Yep, and I've had people reach out to me for mentoring at times when I've not really been able to do it, but I have been able to help connect them to somebody else. So I mean, that really is the worst thing you'll get, is just no. Okay, so there was another, I'm checking. I don't see any additional questions in the chat right now, so we'll go to another question or topic that was submitted in advance. And this is really more of a general question or topic, but I think a lot of people on the EC maybe have some input on this. And that was, what should an early career statistician be doing to build a strong foundation for a career in statistics? So who would like to start to address that question?
I could say something about it.
Yep, please go ahead.
Okay, hi. What should an early career statistician be doing? Well, one of the things you should be doing right away is getting involved in groups like this. And I became the webmaster just because they put out a call saying, hey, we need somebody to do this. Don't be afraid to sign up for a position like that, especially some of the positions that are more supporting roles. You'll start to get to know the community. Read the AmStat news, find out what's going on in the community, because you go to your education, you go to your school, you learn about statistics, or maybe you're learning on the job about statistics. But the field of statistics exists, it doesn't exist in a vacuum, it exists within a group of people. And I think one of the things you can do early on that's going to help you the most in the long run is to start connecting to those people and finding out what basically what that community looks like and where you fit into it. So that will be my pearl of wisdom.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Kim. I just wanted to add something to that. I think just getting involved, I think Summer mentioned this earlier, that just getting involved in the JSM is a great opportunity, just in maybe organizing a session, and it's not, it may seem overwhelming at first to organize a session, but really it's not as bad as it may seem the first time. So and the people in the section officers can maybe help give, if you're interested in organizing a session, people can guide you along the way, give you some helpful suggestions, maybe put you in contact with people that might be interested in participating in the session. And so I think organizing a session at the JSM, I think, is a good opportunity just to get involved with different people.
Yeah, so to add a little bit, so this was my first experience for to be a program chair, and then this is not just kind of interacting with the members in our section. I was able to have the opportunity to interact with the kind of section program chair in different sections, and then we just kind of communicate and exchange ideas, and then it was really amazing opportunity to know people.
Great. Who else would like to add something? Leanna? I see your
Yeah,
hand.
Kim, sorry, can you clarify the question? Is this how
Yeah.
early career statisticians can get involved in the section, or is it more around career
It
development?
says to build a strong foundation for a career in statistics. So I think one thing is maybe being part of a section like this, but then I think the question is actually wider.
To build a strong foundation for a
For a
career in
career, yeah.
statistics. Okay. Yeah, so definitely I think the section involvement is a really great way, especially if that statistician is particularly interested in the collaboration piece or even kind of in the leadership development area. That's another great way. I would say from my perspective as a hiring manager of statisticians, the thing that I look for in early career statisticians is how well can they ask questions and how well they can ask the right questions about the problem that they're solving. So I think obviously their technical skills, I mean, we know that people have to have the technical ability, how to do a t-test and those types of things, but I'm actually more concerned about, a person doesn't even need to be a domain expert because they might go into a different industry, but I'm more concerned, can they ask the right questions and communicate with the researchers to understand the problem that's being asked first? Do they have a well foundation of the problem that's being asked, and can they articulate that back? For me, like that's the foundational element.
I want to echo that so much, so loudly. It is what Leanna said was just so important. I too am less interested in the technical skills, which I think you can build upon. I think having that natural curiosity about like sort of like the disease context or the data generation, and that ability, I mean, so this is the statistical consulting section. So we're often engaging other collaborators, people across different fields. And so what I look for is like that natural curiosity about the disease or about the area. So I think, you know, how do you get those skills? Some of it you come by naturally, and some of it is like find what you're passionate about. I remember when I first started my faculty position at Columbia, I was sort of assigned to a project, a collaborative project that I wasn't that passionate about, or I just didn't feel like I felt like it was such a hard problem to solve that I just wasn't that interested. And so I became sort of less invested in that problem, and I found myself sort of being drawn more and more to other areas like oncology. And there were just certain domain, you know, clinical domain areas that drew me. So that might be true for you, or it might be a methodological domain area that you're drawn to. For me, it's usually about like the disease sort of drives my interest, and then that I get curious about things, and then, you know, I get quite engaged. And so, you know, I agree with Leanna. You what I look for is sort of like that person who's like really passionate and wants to learn. And then I think those communication skills and those engagement skills are so important. And so while you're learning, because it is important to keep up with your technical skills and your programming skills and your statistical knowledge, I think gaining that skill set on the engagement side, which I don't think is emphasized so much in graduate school, doing that early on in your career, learning how to engage investigators. If you're going to be an applied statistician or a statistical practitioner, that's where I would put a lot of your emphasis is like how you engage. Do you ask the right questions? Are you extracting the right information from your collaborator? Because I think that's the key to a successful collaboration and ultimately a successful career. Sorry if that was rambling a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's a great add-on. Maybe I'll just kind of close out my comment on that one. I can give an example. When I was an early career manager, so when I started first at kind of in the management track, this is back in the good old days when we worked in an office and we still could go in and talk to people and everything. But I mean, I was in a building and we had statisticians and scientists there, and a couple of my statisticians were like telling me about, oh, I got this data set, I'm starting the analysis. And I said, well, have you talked to the researcher? Oh no, they just emailed me the data set and I have all these questions. And it's like, well, that researcher works like 4 offices down the hall and you can just go talk to them. And I know that physically talking is not always possible, but we have this technology now. I think that kind of goes to that engagement piece. I get to school, and that I think also the journal that we talked could be another avenue for us to.
Hi, Kim.
Yeah.
I would like to share a letter that with the participants that I received from Scott Berry, and he kind of mentions emphasizes those same points that Manisha and Leanna made. If I can share it here. Yeah, here's a letter and this kind of ties into the importance of the journal that we're proposing as well. So goes on to say that the vast majority of statisticians understand methods and software, but there's a huge gap in the ability to use this understanding to shape a problem, to ask the right questions, to listen for the key uncertainties, to apply appropriate methods, to interact with the collaborators, and ultimately to communicate their work in ways that provide value and make an impact. So this is kind of, I think, an important point that, again, this kind of just adds on to what Leanna and Manisha were mentioning. And I think this kind of just emphasizes too the importance of the journal that we're considering, and the importance of that to the statistical community.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I tie the two last 2 questions together? Great way to start to achieve some of these things is, if you're seeking a mentor, or even if you're not, maybe you should, don't just look within the statistical community. Wherever you're working, look outside of the choir and get the feedback of people who are consumers and collaborators of ours. Have an open mind to their perspectives and to see through their lens, including see ourselves through their lens, which can be a little bit painful at times, but it'll open your mind to the perspectives, and I think going through that effort, not only does it give you those added perspectives, but if you plan on staying where you are, the advocacy of a mentor from outside your own group is also tremendously important for that career foundation. So it's the more stakeholders you have across the different sets of VPs in an organization, the better you're going to fare. So I think it's both strategic from a career professional, ladder going up, but also it'll help you achieve some of the things that our most achieved statisticians are saying are important to get.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that comment. I'm going to steal the last comment on this for myself, and then we're going to move on to one more question that's come in. And I think what I want to add to this is, I think this is not just advice for someone who's an early career statistician, but someone who is a changing career statistician. I've known several people recently who have made major moves from, one job to another, and even sometimes changing careers, so beyond just I'm doing something similar at this company now that I used to do at this company. And I think every time you do that, or when you start something new, for a lot of people, I think this idea of imposter syndrome, or feeling like you don't know what you're doing because you're suddenly joining a new group and these people work a particular way, I think that idea can be very real, and you can suddenly feel like everything I ever learned about statistics is not enough or not good enough. And I think the key is to really evaluate, how much of that is just joining a new environment and being integrated with new people and a new way of doing things, as opposed to, you really not being maybe a knowledgeable statistician or a knowledgeable person. So I think that's just something else to keep in mind too, is anytime you do something new, it's going to feel like maybe you're overstepping or overreaching. So I think you need to really evaluate how much of that is real and how much of that is just joining and becoming integrated to a new thing. So don't let that feeling necessarily stop you from trying something or becoming involved in something that you might question. Okay, the next question that came in was, and this is a good one actually and very timely, and we may close on this one, so we've got 7 minutes left, depends on how long it takes. I want to read one comment from someone who said, I think a good mentor or advocate outside of your field could be someone you have worked with on projects. And that's a great point. If you've had that opportunity to work on projects, and again, depends how early career you are, but if you've had that opportunity in grad school or after grad school or however, working with someone outside of your field can be like, so for me, I work with a lot of nurses. And so I have taken time to connect to that and start to learn some stuff there. All right, so here's our timely question. How is remote work impacting people who usually go to a lab or office? What tips do you have? And I would love to hear from the EC on that, but I think if people who are attending want to maybe make some comments in the chat box, please go ahead and do that too. So who would like to start to answer that? How is remote work impacting people who usually go to a lab or office? I know we all have answers to this.
Yeah, I think in the beginning it was hard, especially. And one of the things I did, it kind of sounds silly, but like people talk about, you know, really needing to be able to separate when you're working, when you're not working, you know, when you're working, when you're on break, when you're working versus on lunch, et cetera, et cetera. And that can be hard to do when you're working from home. And so one of the first things that I did, it's sort of a silly thing, but I actually had a jacket I would put on when I was working and take the jacket off, you know, sort of like Mr. Rogers. I mean, it sounds silly, but it helped me like get into that frame of mind, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working right now. And then also put it aside and go take a break or go for a walk or something like that. So I'll let other people share other ideas, but that helped me in the beginning to just get into that routine and get into that groove when I was really struggling. So
it's a great point, Robin. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. You want to go?
Sure, I'll go quick. I was going to say, for me personally, I have 2 young kids at home. You can probably see their toys in the background over here. And so they're not here right now because they're finally back at daycare. But if you had young children, it was actually a very traumatic experience for me for those few months working from home, balancing that, and then trying to be a teacher and the mom and all of that experience. But what I did is I really had to lean on my manager, and luckily my company was really supportive. So I was able to manage my schedule. But my suggestion, and I still get people, because schools are still not back in session for a lot of people. And so people ask me for advice all the time, like, how did you survive through that period of time? And I said that my advice to them was, as I had to be very clear with my manager of when I was going to be available to work and when I wasn't. I tried not to mix it together. Like I just said, I'm not going to take meetings when my kids are here, or I'm not going to be able to deliver on this thing. And luckily my company was really supportive of that, but I guess maybe not everybody is.
I wanted to add to that if your workplace is anything like my workplace, you actually get a lot of social interaction. You know, you come in the morning, you grab your cup of coffee, you're, you know, hanging out with people, how the kids, whatever. And what was hardest for me was that sudden absence of that social interaction. So it would have been a very artificial construct to set it up at the beginning of, say, a departmental meeting when we were, you know, gathering by Zoom. And so what we did kind of to address that is we actually started a Friday happy hour where we would all catch up on each other's lives. And that may seem like, oh, that's not that important, but it really made a huge difference in my productivity to actually be able to interact with people in a more normal way, because that's what I was used to. I mean, for better or for worse, you're spending the majority of your day with these people around you, even if they aren't in your office. And so to have them suddenly absent from your life felt very strange.
So I'll add a little comment to that. I really have the opposite situation. I'm in my office right now and I feel safe being here because it's literally just me. But the reason I have my office is because of something that I think Robin was kind of hitting on, which is that I need the separation. I was actually just saying to a couple of folks on the executive committee before the big one got started that it's hard for me to sit at home and be in the same space all the time. There's just no separation and there's no natural stopping point when I'm just sitting there in my home. So I kind of gave up and I am back here in my office. But I think one thing that helped me, even though I didn't get all that social interaction in an office environment, my other social interaction got cut off too. And I know that, this is a little bit of a side issue, but I rely on that other social interaction to help make my work life go smoother. So I've also done kind of the same thing of having like a social happy hour with my friends on Zoom. So if you have the kind of friends who are willing to do that, I'd say reach out and just, it makes a difference for the, your whole life flow too. So any other comments from anyone? We have about a minute left. We can.
Kim, I'd like to say something about there was a question here that that someone posed about mentorship and advocacy. And I just wanted to say a little something about that. We touched upon mentorship and the importance of having mentors. I just want to make sure that people understand that there's a distinction between having a mentor who helps sort of give you guidance on, maybe you should do A, you should do B, make sure you do C, and this is the pathway to promotion. That's very different from having an advocate or having a sponsor. And having an advocate and a sponsor is important too. And so I think back to the question of what should we do as an early career in our early careers, actually throughout our careers, is one needs sponsors, one needs advocates, and those can be different from your mentors, and sometimes can be challenging to come by, and is absolutely necessary for promotion and for advancement and for providing opportunities for people. So, I didn't get to where I am just through, hard work or whatever. One needs people to advocate for you. And so that's a really important thing to look for. It's not always easy to find, but you can find them, and you should try to form and establish people who can advocate for you within your institution and outside of your institution and within the statistical community as well. And I think that's really important to put in place. For some people come by these networks quite naturally, and other people do not. So I think that's a really important thing to invest some time on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I just kind of brushed over that, but you're right. I think we'll go ahead and wrap up since we did say this would be for an hour. Does anyone have any last second comments that you would like to make? Otherwise, I'll just say I personally really enjoyed this. I hope that means that other people did too. Thanks to everyone who joined us and who asked questions. If you like this, if you have comments you want to make, if you didn't like this, you can always get in touch with me. My email is in the chat, but it's also Kim, K-I-M, at krlovqcc.com. Please go ahead and send me an email. And if you have things you want to communicate to other people on the committee, I can make sure that they get that as well. Or you can always go to our webpage and look that up as well. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. This was great. I do have this recorded, so I will go ahead and send that link out to the consulting section, so you can go back and check it out again if you want. And please, other people in the section that who didn't come, feel free to encourage them to check out that link as well. All right. Thank you so much, everyone on the executive committee and everyone who joined us too. Have a great afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you.
And Kim, thank you for organizing and coordinating. You did a brilliant job. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim.
Amen. Thank you, Kim. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.